20 group interview.
좀 연습은 열심히 했는데 경기력이 많이 안 나와서 좀 많이 아쉬웠던 것 같아요.
시즌 1도 좀 4강까지 했는데 또 똑같이 4강까지해서 너무 마음이 아팠고요. 전체적으로 좀 못했던 것 같아요.
아무래도 같은 상대한테 시즌 1, 2를 둘 다 떨어져가지고 자괴감이 좀 많이 들었던 것 같아요.
네, 안녕하세요. 1년 반 만에 GSL에 복귀하게 된 프린스 최민입니다. 뭐 제 실력 탓도 있지만 좀 풀이 줄어들면서 좀 예선 통과하기가 힘들었던 것 같아요.
둘 다 응원은 솔직히 그냥 50대 50으로 했고 좀 성주가 이길 거라고 예상을 했어요. 왜냐면 연습할 때 엄청 포스 있는 느낌은 아니었어서 솔직히. 근데 역시 대회 때 준호 형은 진짜 괴물인 것 같아요.
그냥 할 것 같은 사람이 했다? 약간 그냥 누가 해도 이상하지 않았다고 생각해서 다전대는 또 다르다 보니까 이길 것 같았어요, 저는.
프로토스 우승하면 안 되는데 물론 저도 기다리긴 했는데 김준호 선수가 잘하는 거지 아직 프로토스가 세진 않아가지고
경기력이 일단 되게 좋더라고요. 그냥 템포전 그냥 아무 생각하고 싶었는데 좀 오랜만에 감탄하면서 본 경기였어서 경기력이 되게 좋더라고요.
고민을 좀 많이 해야 될 것 같은데. 그래도 민투랑 토론하는 게 낫지 않나. 그래도 동생한테 맞으면 좀 많이 서러울 것 같아가지고 그냥 민수한테 말로 맞는 게 나을 것 같아.
저는 강민 선수랑 밤샘 토론하기. 강민 선수랑 게임 얘기 그래도 새벽에 자주 해가지고 저도 얘기하는 거 좋아해서 약간 그런 부류거든요. 저도. 그래서 잘 맞을 것 같아요.
진짜 안 맞아봐서 그런 것 같아요. 맞아보면 생각이 좀 바뀔 것 같습니다. 근데 제가 약간 친한 선수들끼리 있으면 말이 많은데 그 안 친한 사람들이랑 있으면 또 말이 아예 없거든요. 제가 약간 낯을 좀 가려서.
사람들이 안 맞아봐서 좀 모르는 것 같은데 나중에 좀 GSL에서 합법적으로 때릴 수 있는 기회를 주시면 저는 적극 참여할 수 있도록 해보겠습니다. 3위였던 것 같은데 기억이 안 나네요. 너무 오래전 일이라. 제 입으로 말씀드리면 좀 이런데 인기가 좀 있었거든요. 제 리즈 시절이지 않나. 그 가족 같은 조요? 왜 만든지 모르겠어요. 제가 이제 와서 생각해보면 그 가족 같은 조를
근데 자주 16강에서 하는 것도 아니에요.
지금 또 만들고 싶네요, 이런 조를. 지금 하면 괜찮을 것 같아가지고.
네, 맞아요.
딴 사람 같죠?
요새 근데 많이 부어가지고 다이어트를 이제 좀 해야 되지 않을까 생각 중입니다.
이거 8캠전 때 아닌가? 이때 별로 안 친했어요. 경렬이랑 좀 어사였어요, 어사. 경렬이랑 친해지는데 좀 오래 걸렸어요. 한 3, 4년 걸렸나? 제가 아닌 것 같은데요. 지금 하도 오래돼가지고 라식한 지가.
라식하고 나서 되게 미남이라는 소리 많이 들었어요.
누구 닮았다는 얘기 많이 들었어요. 막 자기 아들 닮았다. 자기 뭐 친구 닮았다. 뭐 이런 소리 많이 들었어요. 뭐 흔한 얼굴인 거였죠.
이때는 20살이 중2병이었어요. 그래가지고 내가 과연 죽기 전에 금발을 할 수 있을까? 약간 이런 생각이 들어서 한번 해봤습니다. 뭐 후회하거나 그러진 않아요. 왜냐면 제가 일단 죽기 전에 그래도 한 번쯤은 이런 머리를 해볼 수 있다는 게
앞으로 또 한 번 더 하시면
한 번으로 좋게요. 이거는 엄청 옛날인데 이거 진짜 엄청 옛날인데 진짜 저렇게 아파가지고 진짜 저게 뭐 연기나 이런 거 1도 없이 그냥 진짜 그냥 넘어간 거거든요. 저 파워에. 아직도 그 아팠던 기억이 나요.
오랜만에 올라온 만큼 앞에 있는 것부터 생각해서 10강을 가는 걸 일단 가장 큰 목표로 잡고 있고요. 그 이후로는 일단 되는 대로 최선을 다할 생각입니다.
올해 마지막인데 좀 최대한 좋은 성적 거둬서 내년에 진짜 카토비처까지 좀 잘 이어가고 싶습니다.
이번에도 4강 가면 너무 슬플 것 같아서 준호 형을 최대한 피해서 결승까지 가보는 걸로 하겠습니다.
마지막 부사 라인의 자존심을 지키도록 최선을 다해서 좋은 경기 보여드리도록 하겠습니다.
Today's matchup. Doug, Prince, Solar, Q. Round of 20, Group E. 2022 Hot 6 GSL Season 3.
What is this? Don't know, just let the lyrics come out. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for waiting. It's time to decide who will move on into the round of 10. There are already 8 players in the round of 10. Soon we're going to have 9 here. Is this either going to be Dark or Cure moving on? Now, I'm not a betting man, but if I was, I would say I think Dark probably 60% more, or like a 60-40 matchup, basically. He's
Yeah.
more likely to move on.
I agree with you. I mean, Solar and Cure, they go pretty much 50-50 in their matches. And Dark, in my opinion, is a much better ZBT player than Cure is. I mean, Dark is just a legend
Yeah.
in the Korean Zerg scene. And Cure, he looked convincing, but keep in mind, those were two very close games.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. In my opinion, he's got his work cut out for him here against Dark.
It's going to be a tough one for sure. You know, Dark kind of just rolls through these groups pretty easily, but I don't know, man. I mean, Cure did look very strong today. Excuse me, he did look very strong today. Maybe he can cause an upset. Cure, I believe, he's beaten Dark several times before. We'll have the stats up for this when we get into the game. Anyways, it's going to be Data C for map number 1, Moondance for map number 2, and Stargazers. That's us, the people watching. For map number 3, we're the Stargazers. All right, so let's hop into this, guys, and find out who will get one of those last 2 spots in the round of 10 in Season 3 of the GSL Code S.
I can do this all day. Believe me when you hear me say I can do this all day. There's nothing that I cannot see.
Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Dark. Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Cure.
CC first again.
And you can see the drone just wanted to check, you know, make sure there's no barracks behind the minerals or anything like that. But with Dark going for a hatch first, I mean, this is, there's no way to punish the command center first. So if we were to measure these 2 builds out right now, Cure is on a much better trajectory.
Especially Zerg, when they get that scouting intel.
From Australia.
Good
Welcome.
day from Australia.
Brown
Get
University.
after it, Cure.
Rebel for Life. The best song in the GSL.
But
We're Rebel for Life, the Shakespeare of our time.
We'll see what flavor of a 2CC opening Cure decides to go for. So I wasn't too big a fan of the Marauder push, as never really tends to work out very well in GSL Code S. But some of the other pushes that we've seen from Terrans as a follow-up to the CC first opening, like the Siege Tank Marine push that usually hits, it's deadly.
Yeah, so the trend persists here. Yeah, I mean, we'll see if he can make it work. And by the way, I'm going to call it right now, he's not going to do that thing with the Marauders this time.
I think you're right
that's
about
not
that.
coming.
If anything, in my opinion, that like kind of set him back in that game.
100%, man. It's like, okay, no, you literally just have a lead. Literally, don't be fancy. You know, this isn't a magic show.
Nope.
You don't have to make the Eiffel Tower disappear and then reappear. No, okay? Just make Marines and tanks push. It's solid. It works. And it's had huge success so far.
1 Marine into a reactor here for Cure. Nice and standard. The reactor Hellions coming out in just a minute. And then we'll see exactly where he decides to go for this. And yeah, I think you're right. We're probably not going to see any kind of Marauder push again.
No, dude. If it does, I'm going to spit.
You're going to spit?
I'm going to spit on the ground. That's the highest level of disrespect a caster can give, man.
All right. Dark coming in now is going to see the add-ons and Tech Lab on the barracks. You might have to get that spit in mouth ready. We'll see.
No.
We'll
Is he going to do the Marauder thing?
Could be.
Or is this...
Could be for combat shields or stim. We'll have to wait and see what he decides to go
Could
with.
this be like some 4D chess stuff? Like, now he's going to do the real good Tech Lab build?
Oh, like he has like a fake one?
Yeah. Well, I mean, no, he's going to get concussive shells.
Okay.
What?
Yeah, I'm not.
What?
I'm a little perplexed by
it's
this.
funny
considering
also hearing the Korean casters cast this and they were reacting the same way in the
I'm not
studio.
sure how much that picks up on the mics, but yeah, it's
no,
funny.
no, it doesn't pick up at all, but we can just kind of hear them reacting. Now, this is weird because I would put Dark a couple points.
He canceled it. He faked us out.
He faked us out.
Dark
he
didn't
us
even
all.
scout it, man. He tricked us.
Guys,
He's
check
like-
check
he's
your
like,
pockets.
we're
Did he
gonna-
get your wallet too?
Gonna make the casters look like fools.
Oh my God.
Yeah, this makes much
He-
more sense.
He's
going
gonna
for
go
cloak
Banshee
banshees.
cloak, and the casters are a laughing stock now. Okay, so that's cool.
Yeah.
This is, you know what? He almost lost game 2 on purpose. This is, what is that movie that, oh my God, the end of that one movie with Kevin Spacey where he's walking with a limp the whole time and then he's not walking?
Kevin Spacey move. I don't know, man. I haven't watched a lot of Kevin Spacey.
All right, this is
Before my time.
This is a great show. This is a great show. Never mind. My joke sucks. This is crazy. Okay, so he's going to come forward. Now the Roaches are going to see the Banshee. And look, he can just shoot that down.
Mm-hmm. It's not a very committed push out here for Dark. Just a handful of Roaches. And honestly, losing the Roaches here, it's like worth the value in getting the Scout on the Banshees. A couple seconds of
Oh, for
sooner.
sure. Because if that just shows up and starts killing stuff. And by the way, State behind this, he
Third
is
CC.
going for Stim.
Yeah, Stim
And
in
a
a
third
third command
CC.
center. So it won't be that deadly 2-base siege tank push that we've seen Terrans do earlier in the GSL Code S. Instead, opting for that third CC now. This is something kind of similar to what we saw, I think, Ryung do previously to kind of mixing success. Because a lot of the tempo advantage that you get from the CC first push is that once you reach the mid game, your economy is just a little bit faster. You have a couple more SCVs, and over time that kind of compounds into having an army lead.
Right.
That can be very tough for the Zerg player to stop. And once that culminates into a timing push, like with Siege Tanks and Marines, it's the kind of thing that can very quickly spiral out of control for the Zerg. But opting for a third CC instead of that 2CC push means that if a push does hit, it's going to be later. And by then, you know, economies have equalized a little bit more. So it's kind of a mixed bag in terms of, yeah, your economy will be better, but the trade-off is you're missing an opportunity to go for a push that could be very deadly, very scary for the Zerg to try and hold off on.
But you know what, man? I kind of like this because Dark is so infamous for basically just cutting the right number of drones and holding everything off, and then he wins later on. That to just go for a third base, maybe there's a chance that for a little part of this game, Dark was still cutting drones and getting ready, and then realizes, oh, he actually skipped ahead another step.
It's a good point. Yeah, it might be a little bit of a meta play just specifically here against Dark is to bait him into trying to counter a 2-base push and then go for the third and eventually push again after that.
Personally, I lose a lot of games like that if somebody could just make it look like they're going to come in and attack me, and then I like freak out a little bit, and then I find out, oh no, you're expanding with me, and now there's a kind of this weird tempo shift.
Yeah, we don't play Zerg too, which is like the most extreme race in that situation
Yeah,
because you're either making drones or you're making army.
Yeah.
It's not.
You're either literally fully developing your economy or you are making an attacking army. And honestly, the third CC's landed. I don't see a fourth hatchery planted yet. I like this for Cure.
And no fourth hatchery just yet, but Dark is getting his infestation pit. He is getting his Hydralisk den.
He starts that fourth.
Starts that fourth and adding a lot more drones. So pretty even, I gotta say. Considering the opening so far, and Dark is a guy that absolutely loves his Roach play in this matchup. Really healthy Roach count there for him. And Cure opting to go for a drop into the main base. Now, I don't think this has been spotted from Dark. I'm curious if Dark has anything in his main to
he's
handle
going to
this.
drop here, or does he go in the main? He goes in the main.
He's going in the main.
Okay.
That's a lot of Marines.
Oh, man, and this is a really good position. He's going to have to cancel the hatchery. I was about to say.
Oh, he might get a lair.
Dude, what?
He's going for the lair. 2 transfuses coming off. More coming up for the back. But that's it. The lair's down.
And he
Immediately gets
out.
started
That was
again.
sick. That wasn't the plan, by the way, guys. He's not like, I'm going to drop in here and go for the lair. He just looks at that. He goes, you know what?
That gets a
Let's
macro
just
hatchery.
go for it.
Macro hatchery plus the lair. That's a great pickoff.
That's huge, man.
That slows the hive timing by a considerable amount. And, lurkers, unless they get all those hive techs up, they're not very great. And you see Dark now going for the lurkers den. He's not going to get full value out of those units until minutes down the road, and minutes in a StarCraft 2 game. Feels like ages, man. This game is so fast.
It's funny, like, we can talk about all the bad things that could happen in this phase of the game for Zerg, and one we would not even bother bringing up because it never happens is they lose the layer.
Yeah.
That just doesn't happen. And so that's a huge blow that completely changes the whole development process for Zerg in this game. So Cure is almost there. But again, Dark is so good when he gets kind of cornered like he is in this game. So let's see how he fights back.
And Dark interestingly opted for a handful of infestors, which I don't think we've seen on screen just yet. So he decided after his hive timing got delayed by the layer going down, he decided to opt for 4 infestors to spend as gas and balance his economy just a little bit. And infestors are not something we see too often in this matchup anymore, but considering that Dark is such a Roach Ravager heavy player, if he can pair some fungals with some corrosive biles, that can be huge damage. And to this point, I don't think Cure has an idea that there's infestors on the map.
So, oh, is he not going to move? I was about to say he's going to fly into the main. He just like picks up and waits there. That can't be the right way to do it. Yeah, I mean, Cure has played an extremely patient game. It looks like things are going to start to get to a boiling point, though, because the tanks are coming out. Terran is maxed out. Not that Zerg is that far away. He needs to pick a location to hit. Now, excuse me. Now, I do got to point out, he's played such a strong game that there really isn't any kind of easy point to attack because Dark has expanded so slowly. But it looks like it's going to be at this 4th base over here. There is a fresh base being taken at 12 o'clock.
Ooh, Fungo coming in. We get a medevac. First Lurker upgrade now being researched. 2 more Vipers on the way. And the spellcasting for Dark is critical in this. You know, we see a lot of Zerg players play ZVT and will mostly rely on positioning. They'll play like a Ling Baneling style, maybe with some roaches, and they'll focus on getting surrounds on the Terran army. But this army that Dark has made is playing to a little bit of a different style. For him, it's the spellcasting, it's the infestors, it's the Vipers that are going to be critical in getting a fight, because if he trades favorably with this army right here for Cure, now that he's finally adding in Lurkers, he's going to have a very powerful unit composition.
What is this crazy attack?
Yeah.
It was like a drive-by. You know, it doesn't seem like the confidence was there for Cure. And so he's actually going to go right back into turtling. We're going to be in for a long game here.
He's camping.
Yeah, he's gonna turtle it out. Nice drop over here.
Oh, he's actually going to Lurker dead. Man, these Lurker upgrades have been delayed so much.
This is wild.
Yeah.
Oh,
look at these fungals. Those are some huge fungals. Bio's coming down as well as a huge swath of Cure's bio just gets decked. In the meantime, though,
he's gonna do it. Get your layer punch card out.
Hive just has too much HP, but man, 9 drones going down. It's a lot of damage done. Infestation pit as well, man. Cure has sniped so many critical structures. It's kind of insane.
Yeah. I've never quite casted a TVZ like this, by the way.
No, it's really wonky.
Yeah.
It's really funny because I feel like Dark, maybe, like, I see the Infestors as kind of a reactive thing. It's like, oh, I need to spend my gas on something productive. My Hive tech has been delayed by minutes.
Right.
Might as well make 4 Infestors. And then now you have like him kind of playing into an army composition that pairs well with fungal growth.
Yeah.
And Cure also like finding these weird paths like snipe layers and like lurker dens and almost getting a Hive there. Brought it to like 50% HP. It's an odd game. It's kind of a unique one, but we're eventually getting back to the stage in the game where it's Terran taking their side of the map and playing on the defensive, and Zerg, once they get all the pieces of their puzzle and they get all their lurker upgrades, they get all their melee attack upgrades, their carapace upgrades, they'll start to trade in with the Terran and hopefully find some ground, because as it is right now, Cure sitting on a lot of command centers. He's going to be gearing up to take a 5th and a 6th base very soon. Or 6th and 7th, excuse me. He's already taken that 5th.
Yeah, I mean, Dark did it. He really is the best at this in the whole world, I think. It's just sort of barely, you know, hanging on, and then eventually he's outlasted him. Now, Dark is eventually going to have to take the initiative himself. When Terran makes a bunch of planetaries, it kind of blocks off, like we see around 6 o'clock. It has these planetaries that are not on bases, or instead just sort of there as like giant turrets, so to speak. That's when you're telegraphing your behavior to the Zerg and saying, yeah, I'm not going to try to end this right away. We're going to go for exhaust play once more.
I'm interested in spotting the synergy between the Infestors and the Vipers here, because we really don't see a lot of Infestor play in ZVT, especially in these late game armies, and Cure's never been able to pick those off. So those are 4 high energy Infestors that potentially paired with something like Blinding Cloud could lead Dark to some pretty advantageous pushes.
So he's going to come in here now. And, I mean, he's not able to really get anything done here, is he? It feels like this game has slowed down to a pretty extreme point here. Snipes the tank off, nicely done.
I think for now, Dark is just trying to control his side of the map.
I think so.
Establish it safely, and then we'll see him trade him. But man, that's a lot of ghosts
Dude,
out already.
Nice. Oh my God, he just murdered everything over there.
Yeah.
Okay, and now he's going to start doing nukes. Now, I want to point out, Zerg doesn't have anywhere near as much of the map as they normally do.
No, it's been a very slow style here for Dark.
Yeah, and that actually could become a problem here because normally when we see nukes come into play here, it's like the Zerg has got so much of the map that it's like his creep is pushed up against the Terran's bases, right?
Yeah, he's got like a hatchery that's getting hit by siege tanks in the Terran's
Yeah,
main.
yeah, that's right. So, you know, I just want to say, like, right now, Terran is almost out expanding the Zerg. In fact, I guess they're, if you look at the dots of bases on the map, they're technically even, but like that means that Zerg's behind because Zerg is supposed to be like at least one base ahead in this matchup.
Lack of spore crawlers here is an issue for Dark as well.
Yeah.
He's having to split so much of his attention on shutting down these Liberators. I mean, 4 drones at this stage in the game is not a big deal, but it takes your attention away from things like this, and that's Lurkers going down, that's Infestors getting sniped, and here we go. Fungal.
Oh, that was a funny looking exchange, wasn't it?
It was, but you like it, because the Fungal, not only does it slow them down, but also reveals those ghosts, and the Vipers just come in and abduct all of them. It's an interesting take on late game Zerg here, which, again, kind of feels very organic, because I don't think this was the plan coming into this game. It's just the way that things evolved.
No, I think Kira actually played a really smart early all the way through mid now into late game. I think he really made it tricky for Dark. But again, Dark is extremely good at playing from behind.
4 more command centers in production.
So all the bases have been taken. We know that the tank on the high ground hit those minerals is coming. Honestly, though, it just seems like Terran could just push up here.
I'm not sure what the anti-air count is here for Dark. I don't think he has much of it at all. So these Liberators are going to be quite the problem to deal with. Order's now coming in. Dark does not want to let Kira get this base. And Dark's army is very immobile. This is not Ling Bailing. This is Infestor, Lurker, Viper. And as a result, him going over to the 3 o'clock to try and shut down that base, he's losing these 2 bases in top left. And it feels like Kira right now.
Yeah, I like it for Kira, man. I really do.
He's really snowballing. And Dark is going to try and trade out. Go tit for tat here. Take out these bases on the right side. But Kira has so many command centers that it almost doesn't even feel like this matters if these planetaries go down.
I almost wish the Observer would just check how many minerals are at each base for the Zerg, because that's actually the story of this game here, is like Zerg needs to eventually take these other bases. Terran's ahead in bases. And yeah, I mean, he should just eventually get economically wiped out. We should point out that Zerg is not maxed, whereas Terran is maxed, and now he can't even spend the money.
4K bank.
Yep, he's got a ton banked up here. And I mean, if I'm Kira, I play very slowly from here. I'd be very patient and just try to make sure that you hit. When you hit, it has to count.
Yeah, it feels like he's in complete control right now. Just playing slow is the correct play. If he doesn't overextend, I don't see really any path forward here for
I don't know
Dark.
about this.
Well, he's got to make something happen, right? It's a little bit of a gamble.
Okay, so drones are long distance mining, so that should tell us everything we need to know.
These snipes. I think
snipes, man.
Nearing the end of this game.
Yeah, we could have a quiet ending here. It could just be Dark tapping out. He just looks at the situation. He might try to find another opportunity. Honestly, I don't see any position in the last minute or two where like Zerg traded favorably at all.
No, and it kind of, the main thing I'm looking at right now is that Dark is playing kind of a higher tech style than we see a lot of Zergs do. He's adding Infestors, he's adding Vipers, he's making a ton of Lurkers. Those are gas-intensive units. And yet, like, the one thing that he has right now is gas. And that's because he's been playing such a slow game. He's never really been able to get his mineral economy online. And the last couple of minutes, Kira's also been denying any extra bases in the top left in addition to the bottom right.
Right.
And Dark right now, I mean, been like almost a minute since the last fight, and he's still nowhere near max 179 supply. And a lot of that supply is in units that kind of fulfill a little bit more of a support role. It's Infestors, it's Vipers. They're not units that fight a lot head on. Like, it's just a handful of Hydras, a handful of Banes, a low number of Zerglings, and
Look at the minerals right now for Dark here.
he has 2 bases right now that I think have still all their mineral patches, and pretty much everything else is nearing mined out. The main is gone in minerals. The 3rd base looks like it's almost gone in minerals, as is the natural. And unless Dark is able to take another base, I think we're going to see him just kind of slowly bleed out here as the Ghosts come in and take yet another favorable exchange. No support on them, and Dark kind of going for a Hail Mary right now, diving the 3rd base of Cure here with his Lurkers, Vipers, and Infestors, but Cure's ready for this man.
Yeah, this is kind of Dark in his death throes here. I mean, there's just no way he's going to get anything done. Cure basically played a brilliant exhaust game. GG, you never really see Dark lose like that.
No, that was an interesting game. It was a kind of unique flavor of TBZ that we don't usually see. Through the mid game, it kind of ended in the same spot, which is, you know, Terran camping and Zerg not really able to do too much about it, as we've seen really top Terrans just excel at hunkering down on the defense. But the main story to me there is Cure with some really fantastic positional play, like getting the snipe on the lair.
Yeah.
And then going back again and sniping the Lurker again after I think it was starting to research the 2nd upgrade. It just slowed Dark down so much. He didn't really have any chance except to take slow bases. And at that point, Cure just wasn't going to give him any breathing room. Did not let him take any expansions on the top left or the bottom right side of the map, and just exhausted him.
We're going to go to Moon Dance for map 2. I really want to know if Cure is going to do that Command Center first build again. We're going to find out, because our game has just now loaded up.
I can do this all day. Believe me when you hear me say I can do this all day. There's nothing that I can't.
Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Dark. Dragon Phoenix Gaming. Cure.
CC first again. It's a good build.
Yeah, I mean, Zergs, you see what Terrans are doing, man. You got to figure out.
They can't keep getting away with this, Tasteless.
I really like that this is the meta now. Now, what did Darkwind pull first, right? But, you know, we kind of thought this was going to do more than it would do.
It wasn't an early pool, though. It wasn't
Yeah.
super quick. It's not like we're seeing like a 12 pool out of these guys or anything. It's just a pool hatch.
And, you know, I really think for Cure's sake, just go for a straight-up vanilla fast push.
I think that could work.
You've got the lead. He went for the Marauder build. In the first time he did it. Second time he did it, he faked the Marauder build and went for the Cloak build. So does he have a third variation of this? And honestly, I think if he does the Marauder build, I don't even get it.
I don't think we're gonna see it.
I don't think it makes any sense. This happens a lot. You know, since GSL's been around for a long time, where like we see something, we're like, oh, it's different. It's going to be Marauders with concussive. That's so cool. This is going to work. And then it doesn't work. And I'm like, oh, that's why we don't see that very often.
Yeah, it almost never works.
Yeah.
There's a very short window in Legacy of the Void where that was a successful and hard to stop push.
Right.
Before Zergs figured it out. And coming into this game, I have to think that Cure has another variant up his sleeve, because here in the final group of Code S this season, Cure has potentially 3 best of 3s against Zerg coming into this. I mean, he had the first one against Solar, and then if he's able to win that, he's always going to play against Dark. I mean, Dark against Prince, just on paper, is such a gauntlet for Prince to overcome that it's almost, you almost just kind of look at that one as like, okay, well, Dark is going to be at the winner's match, right? And Dark being as good as he is, if Cure isn't able to beat him out here, he might be playing Solar again in the final match. And so you would think that Cure coming into this is going to have a wide breadth of different strategies to take on Zerg, because it feels like anytime you have really any prepared tournament like this, the GSL format where these guys have, weeks leading up to their matches to get ready for it and, devise some strategies. The winning formula for Terrans and Protoss players is to kind of come at it from all these different angles and keep the Zerg players guessing, right? So we'll see now. Hellions underway, Starport in production. And yeah, the question that I'm asking is if this is going to be a 2-base push, because considering how strong it was in the earlier groups of Season 3, I feel like that's got to be like a good way to play this, right?
But I also think it's a great way to pair that build with the first game that we had where he didn't quite do that. He kind of like he sort of put pressure on, and then he just went on to 3 bases. And Dark really did react the same way that we were talking about the build. Okay, it's going to be that 2-base timing push. Dark reacted like that was what it was, and then he got into a really weird spot. Like that was one of the weakest late games I've ever seen from Dark. And I think it's all because of the behaviors that Cure took on. He kind of faked out Dark with this new build, and Dark had to pay for it. One thing to note is this map, it's like taller than it is wide.
Yeah.
And basically, I think the easiest bases for Zerg to take are the 3 that we have here, then the one that's organically to the right of that, just below the screenshot, and then the one at the top.
Yeah,
but I feel like anything else is pretty attackable here.
I think maybe the 9 o'clock base might be a more natural third expansion, but it does feel like it's much harder to defend against a siege tank push.
Yeah.
The 12 o'clock base is Cure going for Cloak Banshees and Hellions back at home behind the 7 Marine drop. Just kind of poking and prodding, and okay, gonna be third CC again.
So one thing to note, guys, this is a map, I probably should have mentioned this earlier. This is a map where the command center, there's a free base in the back of your base is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Now the Zerg in this position can't see if you've taken it or not. And so this is like kind of, it puts Dark in a weird spot, right? Because he's not, it could be 2 bases and that's an empty vacant lot back there, or it could be a very big macro game. You just don't know.
It's also nice for the Terran because it allows them to actually place that third CC on the low ground instead of...
So you get to reap the benefits from it right away.
This is getting quite a bit done, actually. Drone build here does not want these Marines to get away, but it's going to result in a handful of drones going down, almost getting a 4th there.
I don't know if that was the best drop I've ever seen. That was pretty rough.
Not great, but take what damage you can, I guess. And yeah, that's a great point that Dark, at this point, has no idea whether or not Cure is taking a third expansion. Now, he might surmise it based on the harassment units being thrown away, because if this was a push, you would expect Cure to do everything in his power to retain that bio count. But
and I think he's going to try to fake what looks like a 2-base push here.
Spore Crawler is really late there on the 3rd base for Dark. Healthy number of queens, though. Man, there's like no spores. All right.
Oh, my God. Big misstep there with the Banshee. Yeah. That thing could not have died faster.
This is an interesting push. That's a lot of Hellions. Huh. That's an unusually high number of Hellions.
Here's what's weird about this. I feel like this is like almost an anti-timing because he took a 3rd base. But I guess he will be able to clean up the creep here. It's a lot of Hellions. You're right about that.
He's making more, too. He just had 2 more pop backs. So.
Huh. Now he turns him into Hellbats, but this can't work, right?
No, there's Banelings already on the field. That's a nice spread, though.
Yeah, that was pretty good, but I think the Queens alone just beat this. One of the funny things about watching Hellbats fight Queens is Queens are actually like more nimble than they are.
Oh my!
When they're on creep, so it's like, well, what are you trying to do here?
They got their age advantage too, and they can transfuse. They're tanky.
It's crazy.
Queens are great.
Hellbats are so bad against mass Queens.
It's funny too, because like that's like just what Zergs do now is they go up to like 9 Queens or so almost every single game, and Cure not looking.
Yeah, I don't like this game for Cure.
No, I don't like the Hellbat timing. That's just so odd to me.
I feel like he's made this game way more abstract. Honestly, he's going to take a 4th base here.
It's going to be another slow grind game, I think.
I thought he would keep it ambiguous, just go 2 bases and do an all-in. That's what I thought. But instead it was like just kind of these meh drops into just odd tech. Like, guys, there's a reason we don't see that many Hellions and that late of a Hellbat push is because by then the Zerg has done everything they need to do to hold that off. Usually when we see attacks like that, it's very early on. They come in and they try to hit you right when you're weak, right when you're in the middle of your development.
Yeah, but that one coming in after the 3rd CC is already planted.
Yeah.
That was an unusual timing, and occasionally throwing some kind of wonky timings like that can pay off. It can lead to getting kills, but the queen count for Dark is just so healthy that nothing really doing. And now we see Cure coming in with a follow-up push, Hellbats and Marines, but the Baneling count getting a lot better connections right now, and the Marines, there's not too many of them. Queens are just able to clean this up. The confidence just to drop the creep tumors right in the face of this
I
too.
know, it's kind of crazy. Now, their 4th base is coming. So Terran is like matching the Zerg. I mean, again, I don't really like what Kier did in some of this, but it's not terrible either.
He's not out of the game by any means. It's just
He's
kind
still
of,
in this.
We're getting into the mid game in a really unusual fashion that does feel like it favors Dark.
Is he going to get this? No, this will be transfused.
Yeah, transfusions.
Just say, that would be pretty crazy if he did actually get a denial on that melee attack upgrade.
Gotta say though, it's stressing me out a little bit that he didn't like transfuse it at least once.
Oh, I know, I know. When I was
Like,
watching it, I'm like, dude.
Just do one, man. It's like 3 or 4 hits away from dying.
By the way, the worker count's almost even, so is the army supply.
Dark is going for Baneling drops.
Oh, yeah.
Look at this.
What do you know?
Huh.
Now, hold on. Here comes the push.
This could be huge if Kira is not paying attention to this. It might blindside him as much as it's blindsiding us.
This might be the moment that Kira is just literally not going to see the drop coming in here, because this is where your eyes are glued to this part of the map. Here we go. Is he going to move?
He notices it. Yeah. All right.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
Really quick reflexes.
Yeah, Dark a little bit overambitious, but now Kira going to have to vacate this position. Almost would have liked to see Dark just wait a little bit, wait for Kira to actually engage and start splitting before he sends over that Overlord.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kira with very good awareness, spotting that Overlord, because 4 Banelings in a natural mineral line could do a ton of damage.
And you know what? Honestly, the first Baneling drop usually will do the most damage, because after that, they know it's going to be a problem all along. Here he comes, though. Very good reactions here from Kira. He pulls away again.
Yeah, that one just shift-clicked right there for Dark. Is now Cure coming back into the 4th base yet again. Denying a lot of creep spread over here, and even picking up some queens as these Widow Mines might get some really big hits, man. That's so many Lings going down.
Huge connects there.
And, I mean, we've been ragging on Cure a little bit with the kind of wonky opening that he did in the mid-game, but look at the army supplies. 93 to 70, 173 total supply to 154 for Dark. He's starting to come back in this one, man. And
yeah, no, I think Kira is actually in the lead now. Not by a lot, by a little, but again, you know, this is starting to look a little bit reminiscent of Game 1.
It's almost like watching Hero play PBZ with like how fast that Kira is actually expanding.
Yeah,
It's odd, because we saw Young try to do this in TBZs earlier, and it didn't really work.
It totally backfired, and we thought, well, that's why you don't see that. But now, yeah, I'm watching kind of Kira and the way he's handling this, and he's just so on top of stuff.
It's so interesting watching him pretty much keep pace with the economy of the Zerg player and also still find some damage, because at times it does look like he's not really able to get too much done, but drops like this come in.
Oh, wait, what?
He wants to split it between the main and the net, I guess.
I see. Okay, I thought that was, for some reason I actually thought that was his main for a second.
Oh.
I'm like, I had to do this whole reset in my brain. So
he's pairing this up with an attack of the 5th. He's going to get the hatchery.
Oh my God.
Or is he?
Dark fights back.
Yeah, those Banelings coming in the clutch right there, buying enough time for Dark to come in. Hatchery only on the 3rd hit points is Kira kind of everywhere on the map right now.
It's actually crazy that he's attacking and microing in 2 different positions. This looks like it should be almost physically impossible to manage.
Yeah, plus the drop at like the main base of Dark, and behind this he's expanding as well. Kira just playing so quick right now. And behind all this, I mean, like, he's taking these trades that they're not especially favorable, but he's building a big army now with a ton of siege tanks back at home. This is reminiscent of one of the earlier games we saw from him. This like Widow Mine, Marine, everywhere on the map.
Yeah.
And then behind it, 2 factory siege tank, and then you just go for the kill.
This is so cool. You're totally right, State. He harasses on 2 sides, trades out pretty effectively, and then he factors in the tanks, and this is where he wants to actually start to make the killing blows. He's trying to soften him up. He's trying to make the Zerg as squishy as possible. But this is where we need to see if these attacks are going to work. I don't know how many Banes are in the game. By the way, Terran quietly behind this, takes the 6 o'clock position.
Such an interesting kind of new flavor of TBZ in the mid game. You know, the late game is pretty much the same, but how we get there is so much more fun, I think.
Okay, dude, that's a bad angle for those
lurkers.
lurkers.
That's a really bad angle. I don't think Dark is expecting an army this powerful, this fast.
Yeah.
Because not only is the bio so hard for him to deal with, but Also, the siege tank count is so high right now. It's just off screen, but you can see on the mini-map, there's so many siege tanks now working their way towards this 9 o'clock position, and this is going to be such a tough spot to break. Dark, I don't know what the Baneling count is. He has 18 more morphing right now, but it feels like he needs a lot to be able to break this position. He's actually going for the counter.
Oh, oh, oh!
Oh, that's so many planetaries. It gets shut down.
Oh my God, he's going to end up taking out. Dude, I think Cure is moments away from winning this. He takes out the Evo Chamber.
It all comes down to this next engagement, I think. Dark really needs a win here. He really needs to clean up this army from Cure, or we might just see Cure snowball. 2 Vipers are out. The Baneling count is getting higher and higher. 64 Lings now in production. Is this a time for Dark to move in? All right, Lings flooding. Blinding Clouds are fantastic here for Dark.
Not bad from Dark. I think he might just have enough.
Now he's going to break this position, it looks like, but keep in mind that Cure back at home is building yet another army, now mixing in Ghost. He's getting his 3-3, he's getting additional vehicle weapons. And the supplies are pretty much even.
That was an insane exchange there. Vehicle weapons 2 completes. And somehow this is shockingly even when it's all said and done.
4 tanks, 5 Ghosts out. Those are the key units now for Cure. Dark on 92 Lings. Pretty much nothing else in his army besides just a handful of Lurkers and a handful of Vipers. And he doesn't really have the Baneling count to, or the gas count to really refuel his Baneling numbers. It's going to be very low for a while right now. I think coming up to maybe 14, 15, or 18 Banelings. That's a workable number, but look at the way that Cure just keeps expanding with so many command centers as well. It's kind of like this weird mix of like what we've seen Maru do and what we saw Ryung do earlier in this season.
Yeah.
It's this interesting blend of TBZ. And like, he's outpacing the Zerg. He's already taking the corner base.
Now, again, I mean, Dark survives that. He's maxed out here. It's almost a reversal of growth, though. You know, it seems like Cure has basically cemented the bottom left. He's going to have this wall of planetaries, which is just going to make counterattacks impossible. You see Dark slowly creeping into the top right. The problem is that, you know, I think Terran is going to once again have another opportunity to try to attack in here.
Man, he's even going to take that, he's going to try and take the base for Dark all the way in the bottom left. He's getting really aggressive with the expansions, and we've seen this before where Cure kind of expands very aggressively towards the Zerg player and uses that as a staging ground to deny future bases for Dark. And the interesting thing about the bottom left on Moondance, that's 2 potential hatcheries, 2 potential mining locations he can deny from that one expansion.
That one little drop in the top right has kind of forced the Zerg to expand into the Terran, which is exactly what the Terran wants. And look at this, he's going to siege up over here.
That army count for Dark is so high right now, though. I really want to get a shot of the units tab because it feels like we have like 100 and something Zerglings.
Oh yeah,
like there are so many Lings and Banes.
Now the bank account is bigger right now for Dark, so he can refresh this. That's an insane amount of Lings, man.
It's actually absurd.
Aw.
What was that? Was that
just one drone? Yeah.
And Cure's playing this smart with again, 2 siege tanks at the time. For the longest time, he has a really healthy siege tank count, and he's building so many planetaries, and that's one thing that it's very tough for Zerg to clean up cost effectively with this army composition like Ling Bane. And Cure just kind of playing this corner of the map to perfection right now with all these planetaries, all these siege tanks, and you see Dark, even though his army is frankly massive, kind of very timidly moving around because he probably sees the same problem that we do where it's just very tough for him to actually get any footing to break. For now, right now, it seems like his game plan is just to try and preserve mining. And look at this, Cure has the confidence with his defensive position in the bottom left to actually move in with all this bio and try and snipe more bases.
Well, I mean, the Zerg is going to have to scramble. He's going to have to haul ass to get over here to try and protect this. The Lings are going to come up now. And I mean, this is a lot. He could pick it up just in time. Sort of just in time.
And the nukes are back on the play, too.
You know, I think Dark still has a shot here. But,
he does. Look at that mineral bank.
Yeah, well, that's the scary part. We have to see the mineral bank go down before we can really assume that anything else can get done here. These Lings are going to have a pretty insane counterattack here.
Yeah, this is a weak point right now in Kier's army. Only one planetary fortress and not a lot of defensive siege tanks in position over here. Dark trading out a lot of Banelings though. Remax underway, 44 Warlings in production.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think Dark should have done that. I know the Remax is underway, but like I'm not sure how much that actually did.
It's tough to say because, again, the way that Zerg usually wins in positions like this is by making moves like that. It's kind of just using your superior economy, your superior production to just railroad the Terran and just kind of steamroll them through their bases. But that only really denied the natural expansion. It only took down a couple of siege tanks, maybe a handful of ghosts and a planetary. And Kier doesn't mind that too much. And now look, the bank for Dark, although it still is very healthy, it's gone down quite a bit. Now only 3,000 minerals, whereas before it was quite a bit higher. For very little payoff. So it's kind of a tough position, but really if you're Dark, it's difficult too because if you're not going to make a break in there, where are you going to go? Because that was really the weakest link in Kier's defense, was in front of that natural. It was just one planetary, it was maybe 1 or 2 siege tanks. And if you can't really find value on that side of the map, where are you going to find value, right?
Well, that's the big question, right? It seems like once you start to get planetaries up, especially ones that they're not even mining from, it becomes a lot more of a headache to try to break in there and get any value out.
All right.
Thing is, he denies Terran from taking this. Honestly, though, getting the tanks is probably a bigger deal than even getting that because that was never going to be a big resource-rich location. By the way, I think Dark is maybe going to win this if he could just kind of keep fighting back because he has maybe half the map, whereas Kier is in control of like 4/10 of the map, if that makes sense.
Yeah, Kier really needs to control the 3 o'clock position on this map if he's going to able to close this one out. But I like the playstyle that he's going for. He's actually added a 3rd factory with a tech lab.
God, that got nuked so many times it died.
But 3 siege tanks at a time in production, I mean, that's the main thing that Dark is trading for right now with these Vipers. He's resetting the tank count, but Curie has a ton of gas in the bank, and siege tanks, very efficient units for the value you get out of them. 3 factories at a time. He's going to be happy to spend his gas on that and slowly work towards controlling the 3 o'clock side of the map.
Yeah, he's going to siege up more over here. I was going to say he has to start to snipe these Vipers, otherwise he's just going to slowly lose out to tanks.
6 tanks now on the field. For Cure, he really just wants to retain the ghosts. Remake the tanks, retain the ghosts.
Yeah, ghost retention is key here. Now there's so many lurkers, I don't know how effectively he can actually snipe through this. Obviously it's 2 snipes to kill a lurker, so a lot of them very softened up. Zerg has not really been able to expand from those 2 bases on the left.
No, this is such a difficult spot to break. The planetaries and the siege tanks, I mean, it's the perfect staging ground to deny mining over there at the 9 o'clock. Dark's going to try and come in now that Kier's shifted his attention over to the 3 o'clock, and he will be able to get this planetary. Lurker's coming in as well. And Kier's just going to trade it out. He's going to take these bases over here at the top right.
All right, he's going to push it again. I got to say, I mean, Dark's counterattack's kind of insane, but there's a lot of important locations that could be smashed over here. Oh, does he not repair this in time? The Banes are going to come up. Kier is just too preoccupied with other stuff.
Yeah.
This planetary is going to go down. This one's going to be able to take out these lurkers.
Behind this, Dark has been doing a good job of actually defending the top right. Why I say that is now
Well,
Kier's army suddenly comes in.
Now, here's the thing, man. Zerg was not using those 2 center left bases for basically this whole game. By the way, the Zerg's gas, very low.
It is.
So, I mean, the reason why that matters is that's going to be the source of Banelings. So, Zerg's going to have to fight by trying to surround with Lings. And to be honest, the Terran's army is very, very scary right now. Terran actually has a bigger army than the Zerg does right now.
And so, it's way more resilient to the army composition Dark is going for too. I mean, look at the siege tank count, all these ghosts. What does Dark have? He has 10 lurkers and 100 Lings, and yeah, those are great units, but the advantage for Terran here is really that he can force the Zerg to kind of fight on his terms, right?
Right.
And Zerglings coming into an army composition like that one is so tough to break with just Lings and lurkers. I mean, I don't even think there's one Viper on the field, Tasteless.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm trying to like go super big picture here and figure out where exactly we're at. The thing is, I think what Cure's gonna do is he's just gonna ditch the bottom left. I think he has enough of an army, enough minerals in the bank, enough tanks on the ground. If he has a really good spread, he can hit these Banes before they connect. And, you know, as much damage as Dark is doing, we just keep zooming out and there's just more and more stuff here.
All the ghosts were back there.
Yeah, the ghosts were never taken out by the Banes, and so watch these snipes. It's gonna be crazy. Now, that being said, a lot of Terran stuff was killed off back there. Both of these guys barely have any resources in the bank. Terran has like this huge amount of gas, but that's kind of the way this matchup goes.
It's insane that we're now at 24 minutes and both these guys are below 140 supply.
Yeah.
With really little opportunity to actually reach that point. I mean, the income is just so sparse for both of these guys. They've gone blow for what feels like the past 5 minutes, just trading bases.
And by the way, top right base is not being mined from. There's something up there.
Looks
so
like, yeah.
So like Dark is barely hanging on. Now Cure does land mules over there and take that base. That base we just saw, that is only 3 patches left.
Yeah, Dark really needs to start taking more expansions on the left side. Besides that, this top right base is the only one he has with a full mineral line. And Cure, although his SCV count is only 30, he has so many command centers, so many orbitals, that as soon as he lands a CC on a base like this, there's instantly like 7+ mules that are mining minerals. Like that is a full mineral line of mules that is just driving up the mineral production. And just watch these supplies slowly begin to close now because Cure has gas for days.
Yeah, well that's the thing, right? He can make tanks endlessly. The most important base in this game is the top right one, this one right here. If Zerg loses that, Zerg probably can't stay in this game. Yes, there is a base in the bottom left being taken, but we can't assume that that's going to be, you know, the thing that's going to keep him alive. Both sides are powering up aggressively. Incomes, honestly, pretty low on both sides too.
Still pretty low. Only 38 SCVs there for Cure, and a lot of them are on gas. But also, Dark, he's struggling for that gas right now. You see him finally going up to like 1,200 gas per minute now as he's trying to saturate all of these geysers. He recognizes that he needs a little bit more high-tech units in his army, but Cure just continuing to deny these bases. He kills that hatchery, he immediately scans to make sure there's not another one going down in the left center. And as long as he's able to deny those bases, look at these scans on the minimap. He's just getting complete intel on exactly what Dark's setup is, where he is economically, and he's not going to let him take any more bases because Cure knows that as long as he takes the fight on his terms and denies any future expansions for Dark, the game is going to be his.
Yeah, that's right. Now, Terran, the thing is, Terran might try to put, this could come down to one big fight in the top right here.
It could.
The thing is, I don't know who's actually favored. I know that there's not anywhere near as many Banes. There can't be, in fact, I don't see any Banes.
Only 2 Banelings, and actually Dark is going for a much more different unit composition than we've seen from him throughout this entire game. He's now mixing in Infestors. He's getting the Infestor energy upgrade. He has 18 Lurkers, he has 7 Vipers.
Oh, he just went up to more Banes.
Oh, is he?
Now there's 10 tanks. Now the thing is, the tanks, they have enough splash damage. They can sort of weaken the Zerg up to the point where when they get close to the Terran army, that's when, you know, the infantry can kill off the rest of stuff. That's why siege tanks are like one of the best units in the whole game.
73 Lings out for Dark. Besides that, a lot of really high-tech units. Again, that Lurker count up at 18. And these guys' armies it's not something that you typically see because their worker counts are so low.
Right.
We have 150 army supply for Cure, 130 for Dark. These are massive armies.
Oh, here we go. Can he get the snipes?
Oh, the EMP was huge! Every single Viper!
Huge.
Every single Viper just got killed. In terms of energy, just completely wiped out. Nukes now coming in.
Okay, so now he can start to break this position. That might have been, in the almost half-hour game we've had here, that might have been the most important thing that's happened.
Yeah, Dark, you can see him now scrambling, sending the Vipers back to try and harvest more energy from his structures. 4 more Vipers in production. He knows he needs those to actually deal with this Terran army, which is so huge. 148 army supply, and it's like Mech and Ghost. Vehicle armor level 3 is about to come out. Like, this game has gone so late.
Okay, another perfect EMP. And so he could just keep sniping.
Dark doing his best to try and deny this. Such an interesting late game from both of these guys right now.
It's a crazy one, man.
You rarely see players get armies of this size.
And Zerg's got this base up. Now, again, I don't know if he's going to be able to actually mine from this or not. He's going to keep nuking the spot. He's slowly inching forward here.
Cure's just creating so many problems for Dark right now.
Again, the most important position on the map for the Zerg is top right.
Yeah, top right, and also this position right here, because
Yeah.
if Cure is able to stunt the growth of Dark, as Dark is going to try and come over here and clean up this army.
Okay, so he cleans that up. He's traded out a good number of his Banes here. Oh, there's no planetary here.
No planetary. There's so many CCs for Cure. But look at the banks right now. 5,000 minerals, 3,000 gas for Cure. Dark at 166 supply.
Yeah, I think Cure is almost there.
Cure is just starving him out.
He's going to go up the ramp. He's chased the Zerg away. And if he takes this base out, he's going to have to take that one base down in the bottom left.
Yeah, this base is going to go down.
I think Cure is moving on.
It's a lot of Vipers, though. He will be able to take some really good trades.
Yeah.
Abducting so many ghosts. Great control, even getting a fungal growth there on the ghosts.
But he gets that base. Now, the drones are all burrowed in the top right. I don't know that he knows that. This is such a hectic game. If he scans that, it's going to be a massacre. Yeah, dude, I think we are almost to the end of an insane series.
Yeah, Dark's trying his hardest to stay alive right now, but Cure is just so wealthy with such a powerful army, 146 supply. Pretty much the strongest units in the game. I mean, this is the ideal Terran composition here at this stage. Fully upgraded mech, ton of ghosts, handful of bio. That's
GG,
it.
there it is.
What an incredible
series,
brand
crazy
of
series.
TVZ we saw out of Cure. He's going to be the first player to advance out of Group E.
That was one of the best TVZs, man.
That was
great.
spectacular, man. Like, that's a
Jeez.
breath of fresh air. That was a cool composition.
I mean, he took that exhaust play to the next level. This wasn't like all the
Absolutely.
resources on the map were mined out. He actually did such a good job controlling. And, you know, he had plenty of bases to just work with there at the end. Super advanced stuff. We're going to go now to an interview here with Cure. Dark is, of course, not eliminated. He will be in the final match. But I got to say, man, I'm very surprised to see Dark not moving on first. That's crazy. So we're going to go to an interview now with Cure. We're going to see how he's feeling. And that will leave us with one spot remaining here in the round of 10 with our 3 players left here in Group E.
Cure defeats Dark in convincing fashion and he's the first player to move on to round of 10 today. And you know, JYP was doing the interview so well, so I thought my position would be gone. But here I am, doing the interview today. Congratulations, Cure. Thank you. Well, sincere congratulations, Cure. It's been so amazing to watch the winner's match of you playing against Dark. And you know, Dark is a late game master, and yet you defeated him today in a convincing fashion. How do you feel today?
사실은 조의 투저그조에서
You know, honestly, having 2 Zergs in my group, I've always had bad memories, bad performances in the past. So I knew that today would be a very hard for me. But you know, I really didn't expect myself to move on as the first place in my group. So you know, everything feels so surreal right now. Oh, so you didn't expect it, Cure. But your performance was stellar today. And we were really surprised. How did you prepare for the match against Dark? And with who? Well, I prepared with DRG and Rex as well. And Ragnarok. And you know, Solar and Dark were so solid in their performance today. And you know, I went for the macro game. In the early game, I had hard time focusing. But in the late game, my fingers were warmed up and then I was good to go. And your ghost, the ghost macro was so amazing to watch from you. And you know, the match against Cure, and the match against Solar, and the match against Dark, you use the ghost so effectively. So did you prepare for the strategy? I mean, I wasn't able to practice that much. I really pondered about the build in my custom games. I started off the game quite favorably. So, the situation was that if I went for the ghost and then I
오늘
just
경기
stole out
보면서
game, I was in a good position to win.
너무 세다 이런 생각을 했었거든요. 그 강민수 선수와의 경기에서도 그렇고
So in your match against Solar,
물량과 화력이 정말 강력하다 생각을
like
했는데
everything was
이
working out so well for
승자전에서는
you.
이거를 꼬아서
And then with this match,
올인인 척하고 벤시로
You're actually pretending that you're going to go for the all-in and the Marauders, and then you switch the build right away.
좀 많이 하시는 편인가요?
So do you kind of use these strategy a lot these days?
오병형 짜내기가
Well, the 5-barrack strategy, I feel is really good right now, and I was going to use it in GSL, but I noticed that all the other Terran players are using it, so I decided to kind of differentiate it from the other builds before coming here to the venue today.
저그들이 겁먹어서 그런지 잘 통하더라고요.
And it works well because maybe the Zergs feel intimidated to go up against it.
극후반 운영까지도 오늘
And the extreme late game that you showed today.
경기력에서는 빈틈이
And it feels like your performance is flawless right now.
다른 얘기도 좀 해보면
Alright, let's talk about something else. You said you were worried before coming here to the group E match. I've always trained hard, but like last season, whenever I come to the venue, I have a hard time focusing, although this may sound like an excuse. And I was also always disappointed in myself because I couldn't really show the performance I wanted to. So I really tried hard, and I'm really relieved to have moved on today. I see Cure.
그런데 연습을 한 선수들이 다 떨어졌다는
But
소문이
I heard the rumor that all the players that scrimmed against you, scrimmed with you, have gotten eliminated. Is that true?
왜 떨어지는지 모르겠는데.
No, I'm not so sure about that, but I don't know why they get eliminated.
많이 이겼어가지고.
I beat most of them in the practice, so maybe that's why they just underperformed maybe.
10강 조별리그 얘기도 해보면
Alright, let's talk about the round of 10.
지금 김도욱 선수도
And the round of 10,
올라가면서
with you advancing to the round of 10, there are 5 Terrans right now. So maybe the Terrans are performing really well right now.
좋은 건 아닌데.
Well, it's not that Terran is good as a race, but I feel like all the Terran players are trying hard, and I think the effort is bearing fruit right now. That's what I think. When you look at the Terran players on ladder, they play so many games, and I think their effort is just translating into performance. That's what I think. And for the Zergs, I think they're kind of lazy right now. And for Terran players, whenever I play on ladder, I always get matched up with Terran players. So maybe that's why they're performing so well right now. So with 5 Terrans right now in the round of 10, you're surely going to play a TBT match. It's inevitable.
토스전은 머리로 하고 저그전은 피지컬로 한다 이렇게 얘기를 하셨단 말이에요.
So you did say before that TVZ it's about mechanics and TVP it's about the macro. That's what you said before. Now what about TVT? I think TVT is more like a rock scissors paper. Gumiho, Bunny, they're all really good at rock scissors paper in StarCraft. I'm gonna have to be really fortunate to win in a TVT in the round 10.
자, 이제 추석 연휴인데
So it's gonna be a Korean Thanksgiving holiday soon. So how are you gonna spend it?
경기 준비하면서.
Well, I'm gonna get ready for my round of 10.
일단 술 좀 친구들이랑 좀 재밌게 놀려고.
I'm gonna try to go out with my friends and drink some beer and soju.
자, 지금 구사라인 선수들이
So out of all the 1994 StarCraft pro gamers, you're like the only one remaining who has yet to go to the military service. So how are you gonna perform in the round of 10?
저는 이제 구사라인 거의 마지막으로 이제 군대 가는.
Oh, that's right. I'm the last one to go to the military service. Out of all the 1994 players.
없어요. 좀 더 미련이 GSL에 너무 많이 남아 있어서.
I am not ready to go to the army yet. I still have a lot of things that I want to achieve in GSL. So I'm going to try my best until the very end.
알겠습니다. 다시
All
한번
right then, Cure. Once again, congratulations on making it to round of 10. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Andy. Okay, so Cure moves on. Big surprise here for Group E. Up next is going to be the losers match. We're going to be going to that in a second here. But man, that's got to be tough for the 2 guys in the losers match to know that you're going to be going up against Dark.
Yeah, absolutely. Dark was the favorite coming out, but man, Cure played so well. And I felt like every single game he played, he looked better than the last one.
He really did.
And this kind of take of like fast expanding, just consuming the map before actually going to the exhaust play style was really cool to see. I haven't seen a lot of Terran players succeed in doing that kind of mid-game
Yeah.
play.
I feel like I haven't seen anybody play quite that well in a while. Guys, we got to go to break now. We'll be right back after this break.